I guess I didn't know. Brew. Brew. Brew! Brew. Brew. Alright, get this up. Turn this on. Turn this on. Drag this. Alt and drag. Then I get this going, and this is how I get my setup going. Brew. Brew. You couldn't say bruh, so you're like brew. What about Rec Room? I was gonna get on Rec Room, but nobody else wanted to get on. I tried to tell everybody to get on, but they're like, nope, I'm not gonna get on. So I guess we'll put off Rec Room. You still want to get on Rec Room, or you're tired of it? And I can't. It's like, you want to do it? She's like, she can't. It's like, nobody's doing it. Why? Why? I'll do it tomorrow when I got nothing left to do. Alright, now, is that that freaking soap is gone green. Dear God. Alright, now we're going to continue where we left off, which was a bit of a sort of reflection on another case we did. But it sort of takes place after the other case. Like an interquel. See you. So where we last left off, we investigated William Shamspear. At least that means Inspector Grayson is no longer here. You can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Okay, at 9:30. I'm not doing it at 9:30. Maybe at like 10:30. I'll be able to do one. 10:30 I'll do it. And yes, that's right. And of course. What?
Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Gheradev, who discovered Mr. Shamspear.
Ah, Mr. John Gheradev, yes.
I expect we find him in the sitting room at the top of the floor as usual.
Right. I must remember to go and talk to him later then. Ready to go and look around. Shamspear. Is this literally a ripoff of Shakespeare?
This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think it, isn't it?
Where does the audience sit, though, for the nightly Shakespeare performances?
Actors inspired into the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruhodo, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the defense in your office.
What?
Then you can practice your art every single day.
No. 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 It's not the same thing. I'll think about it if you promise to don a beer and play the role of the judge. Are you gonna say this?
Well, if that would help you achieve your goal.
This I have to see. Alright, light. I can examine the light. This is a gas wall light, isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall.
Gas lights. A gas stove. London really is a city of gas.
But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Gheradev had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they?
Oh yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there.
Well, I much prefer a real fire anyways. It's so much cozier. Like this little candle down here. Shamspear. Why? Why Shamspear?
Oh, the poor man, so young to die. You suppose it is a very painful death, being poisoned as he was?
I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life.
Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder, do you think that putting our hands together in a Japanese prayer will help a British soul?
Sorry.
I made sure I had a reference at the ready, just an occasion for this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way.
What?
I'll just reread it now. One moment.
There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? Oh, God. And that's probably where the gas is coming from. And there we have it, another disproportionately large machine. This looks like the meter of some kind.
Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins.
Ah, I see. So yes, now that you pointed it out, I can see that there's a slot just over there that looks like it would take a coin. So you mean if you put a coin in here...
That's right. That would buy you about 2 hours of gas for lights and heating.
So if you're a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold?
Yes. Or if you were scatterbrained with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank.
Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. Because heating is already taken care of. Okay, there's a blade or whatever it is on the floor.
What's this?
It looks like a part of an envelope, I think.
Yes, I think you might be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was open.
Is that significant?
Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there?
Ah, she's right.
And yet here we have the torn off end of the envelope. It just strikes me as unusual.
I agree. Better take this just in case. Torn off envelope for a piece of envelope found in Mr. Shamspear's room. The rest of the envelope could not be located. Okay, this...
There's not much in these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked.
Yes, not much use are they? What's the matter?
Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper, that's all.
Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks?
Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste and they should donate some to the needy.
You can suggest it next time we meet. Oh god. Stop breaking all the wine bottles. Cup on the end of the table. Nothing particular of note. There we go.
Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamspear and his guest drank from last night. But don't go drinking from the Mr. Naruhodo. There's a bit of poison inside.
I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty.
That's true. So, one was Mr. Shamspear's, and the other must be the cup Mr. Natsume was drinking from.
But Soseki's stand wasn't poison, of course. Perhaps you should take these so we can examine them in more detail later. Pair of teacups. And I'm hearing people outside. Alright. Should we look at them? Look at them. Nothing inside. Nada. Whoever opened this envelope didn't bother with a letter opener or scissors, did they?
Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with an unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rip here, the person in question must have been right-handed.
Mr. Sato, I think perhaps someone's been reading too much of the adventure of the Sherlock Holmes.
You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruhodo. Never! Never!
No. No. Pair of teacups.
This is a teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking.
Yes. Unlike the other one, the inside of this cup is completely clean.
I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark.
I always gulp it down too.
Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold.
Clearly, she'll instruct you on the proper way to drink tea.
There's no tea ring on the inside of Mr. Natsume's cup. But there is on Shamspear's. This must be the cup Mr. Shamspear is drinking from then. Stained on the inside.
Tea's outside, I'm afraid. Even green tea.
Oh, really? I've never noticed before.
You never noticed?
Well, I've never left the cup long enough to leave a marks. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it?
Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture, and most of them are Japanese.
A lot of people have the wrong idea. Okay. Now, we're able to... Nope. Looking at book receipt. location has been added. Oh god. A lot of new location. Legal consultancy. Don't know why we're not going there. Briar Road. 21st of February, Briar Road. Is there a green soap right there? I see a green thing right there. With the exception of the top floor, Mr. and Mrs. Gheradev live. All the windows are bricked up.
Yes, that's because of an old window tax that was changed on the number of windows the property had. In order to pay less tax, the poor members of the society had to fill in many of the windows.
But the tax has been since abolished, hasn't it? So the windows could be opened up again, surely.
Unfortunately, it would appear that the residents of the district can't afford to pay to have the work done.
Yes, that is a sad state of affairs.
Especially for people like poor Mr. Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room.
I suppose that's the price you pay for living a very cheap accommodation.
It all seems rather pointless when you put it like that.
There's a green thing here. Strand Street. No? Nothing here. Why has somebody built a snowman on some sort of pedestal, do you think?
That's not a pedestal, Mr. Naruhodo. That's a part of the snowman's body.
Really? But it already has a perfectly good body.
Well, it's true that British snowmen are usually made with 2 balls of snow. Perhaps this is a foreigner.
And now we're looking at him as if he's strange. Poor man, I know how he feels.
If anything, it's Japanese and British 2-ball snowmen that are the strange ones, isn't it? After all, real people do have 3 sections: head, torso, and legs.
Do you ever think that perhaps you think about things too much? What? The Japanese think of people as like the upper part body and the bottom legs. London's blanketed in a fog again today, and the sky is covered in cloud. And if you look carefully in the distance, you just make out the Crystal Tower being built.
Ah, the Crystal Tower, yes. The centerpiece of the great exhibition that's about to open up in 6 months' time.
Everyone's talking about the great exhibition of London at the moment, it seems.
Well, it's to be the largest event of the kind anywhere in the world, with technology and sciences from all over. I can't wait for it for myself.
Do you think visiting students from Far East like us will be granted entry?
The last great exhibition that was held in London had more than 6 million visitors, it seems. And this time, the British are determined to make it an even bigger success to outdo the Paris exposition.
I see. That's an incredible number of people. And with so many people expected to attend, we should easily be able to slip in unnoticed.
There's always the honest approach of buying tickets to the main entrance, Mr. Naruhodo.
Okay. Is that really the Crystal Tower back there? Really? That is really the Crystal Tower back there. Alright, where else? Where else? Mr. Gharadev's room. And there's the screen again. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode.
We're here because Mr. Gheradev is the one who discovered the incidents this morning, don't forget.
There you are. Did you get slapped again? Oh, you chaps, sir. Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Gheradev as anyone, really. I came straight back here after all the business at the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to all badly nonsense this morning.
I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Gheradev.
Yes, I suppose you'd like to know all about that dead loss of an actor chap in that ground floor room. At least my wife is not here to slap me around. Those are exactly Inspector Grayson's words, weren't they? I gotta get up and talk to you chaps. This morning's incident, Mr. Shamspear, must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap races at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. At 5:30 this morning, he hadn't lit the gas. I went down and knocked on his door, but no badly answer.
And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door?
Well, I called on that rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't a little premature to get the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour.
That's very true, Mr. Naruhodo. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning.
Well, you know, better to be safe than sorry and all that. Is it just me, or is he avoiding gaze all of a sudden?
Except that it was a sorry situation indeed that you found on the far side of the door.
Ah, Mr. Shamspear. The victim's name is Mr. Shamspear, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shamspear. I took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. Hopefully it's not a ripoff of the actual Shakespeare.
And how would you describe him?
A ripoff of Shakespeare. In a word, destitute. And a goddamn immature. He's an amateur.
Destitute.
Yes. Well, let's face it. The only redeeming feature of that room is cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or is a bally screw loose. It's so hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into.
Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude.
Again! Everybody reads Ryunosuke's mind. How is that possible? He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. Really? You're gonna talk about Shakespeare now? Made a few plays of the old bar myself, you know. Romeo and Hamlet and all that. Romeo and Hamlet.
Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. He's known as Sao in Japanese, you know. Many of his works have already been translated.
It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sal, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There were a lot of costumes in the victims, actually, weren't there?
Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shamspear have much in common.
Really? Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's hope it's not that. Wait, what?
Mr. Naruhodo, really, how rude.
Okay, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. Yesterday's events. After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Sun was coming down rather heavily, as I remember, and it was completely dark already. I failed actor chap was out at the time. Mr. Gheradev noticed there was no light from this room or something, I suppose. Couldn't show the energy for anything much. So I just sat in front of the fire up here. As I always do, what else have I got to do? It's after 8 before Shamspear got back. And the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. Suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is everything alright, Miss Susato?
Well, I was just thinking it's a little strange. That's all.
What?
Mr. Gheradev, you're up here in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly.
Not a big fan of stairs, not with this blasted leg.
Then, how is it that you seem to know the precise movements of your tenants on the ground floor, I mean?
Ah! That's a very good point. I can't imagine that you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants? Is that it? I say, I know you're thinking it's a bally outrage. I'm ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants. Why would I?
Then how do you know, Mr. Gheradev?
It's the gas, woman. The gas tells me everything. The gas? Speaking gas? No, because if Shamspear was about to head to bed, you'd turn the gas on to get the heat. So basically, if there's no gas put in, what on earth do you mean, sir? How can the gas tell you anything, let alone everything? Well, as you're probably all aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I more or less worked that out.
Every room in this building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside, and the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main.
No, not like that. Yes, I understand this too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously, the room would get brighter. Exactly, but at the same time, the gas in all the other rooms of the house would dim for a moment. What? They dim? Why?
Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more energy, uses more gas than usual, and it reduces the amount of gas in the pipe for the other lamps that are connected to it. That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily, or mightn't it?
Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe.
Is that supposed to happen, though? It sounds rather undesirable.
Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless. Long worn out. Barely got any gas in them to start with. The opposite's always true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up and they glow brighter than the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, we can determine what's happening elsewhere. Well, you got it. You got 2 brain cells in your head.
Ah, of course, but when people come back home in the evening, and before they go to sleep at night, what they're guaranteed to do is either light up or put the lamp with fires.
Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house.
Gosh, that's fascinating, Mr. Gheradev. Absolutely fascinating.
Oh, well, nothing to it, really. And I can't really see what's going on to help this with the case either. I'd like to know why Mr. Gheradev is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. What if I present him the envelope? Would he know anything about this? Could I show you this? No. Quite a couple of days, as you can imagine. I'm afraid I'm rather tired. I don't have the energy in the old eyeballs, to be honest with you. Some other time, then. So, you won't look at the envelope. What about the teacups? No. They're hard. So he hasn't been slapped in the face. Okay. Alright. No. Alright, fine. That's all we can look at. Is there anything else we can look at aside from the gigantic shells? I don't suppose we see Joanne Gheradev anywhere. The present collection of cakes on the fancy silver cake stand there.
I feel sure that it was full of cakes when we first investigated here as well.
Yes, quite right. I haven't touched it since. I haven't done much at all since. It really happened. Time's rather stood still for me, you know.
Oh.
Time has stood still. Now that's an interesting phrase. I might be able to use that excuse when I'm next who's supposed to be tidying the office.
You could just tidy up, Mr.
Everybody reads Naruhodo's mind, dear God. Oh my God, how do they... everybody knows what he's thinking. These shells look like they've been completely torn apart by a wild beast. Reminds me of the Battle of Myrwen, don't you? The experiences of a seasoned veteran. Enemy astronomers on all sides. We really thought we were done for. The whole Valley Company. We were taking a real pounding from the cannon, so all we could do is run for our lives. Oh, I thought that story was going in a different direction, actually. Well, the whole experience taught me one thing, I can tell you. When you're done for, you're really done for. That's not what a lawyer who often finds himself under fire wants to hear. There's a good view over the Wintry East End from up here. It's oppressively gray scene. There's really nothing comparable to Japan. And down below, Briar Road, partly blanketed in snow.
And the pavement that where poor Miss Green was struck in the back by that knife.
Thinking about it, this is the only room in the building that actually has a window to the outside world. Sometimes Great Britain really does seem like a strange land, doesn't it?
I suppose all foreign countries seem strange at first. Imagine how an Englishman must feel when arriving in Japan and seeing people with corn mage to upnut.
If you were a weeb in Japan, you would think it's heaven. No, it's completely different. It's completely different with the English looking at the Japanese. Not the same thing. We know what the screen is hiding now. Aftermath of the fiery altercation the other day. Don't suppose I'll be able to clear that mess up for some time now.
Oh dear, this must be a very difficult situation for you.
Oh, sorry. We'll talk about twists of fate and whatnot. But there's an awful twist and a half. A rotten show all around. He's clearly struggling with everything that's happened. Okay. And a lion statue. You look very dashing in your uniform there, Mr. Gheradev. Oh, that old portrait, eh? Art. Drawn by an art student who used to rent the room downstairs.
Oh, you look so wonderfully young and courageous and strong.
Yes, well, the shop presented to me the other day and asked if I'd let him off a month's rent in return. Oh, I see. So, you did, presumably? I barely well did not.
Oh.
A portrait is a portrait, but rent is rent, eh? And yet he's still there proudly on the wall. No, you did not let him off the hook. Good to see Mr. Gherade's Medal of Honor still proudly displayed on the wall.
The inscription reads, for the distinguished participation, if you remember.
Yes, I remember, because I remember thinking even if I might stand a chance of picking up honors like that. But no, look at me now, perhaps, but I have my devil-may-care days, you know. Devil-may-care? What do you get up to? Well, all in the patch now, of course, and best left there. Best not. I want to know now. Okay, his uniform.
That's your military uniform, isn't it, Mr. Gheradev?
Well, ceremonial garb, yes. Been hanging on the wall ever since my retirement bash. Not in active service now, you know. Doesn't mean much to me anymore. You could have the old thing if you wanted it.
Well, it might suit Lord Van Zeeks, perhaps. An overly ostentatious outfit like this could be just what he needs.
Very tactful, Mr. Sato. Very tactical. Very tactful indeed. Okay. And there's a pile of books.
Oh! A copy of Rance magazine. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes is being read all over London. Isn't it wonderful?
Naturally, one asks oneself if such a singular detective could really exist. But having met the chap, it's undeniable. He is a most certainly singularly dangerous. But he's not as dangerous as my wife. And then she just bursts in the room and slaps him right across the face again. He falls to the floor, and he holds himself like this. Well, I shouldn't have opened my mouth. In a thunderous fashion. That's genuine public opinion for you, Mr. Sato. Perhaps it should be reflected in the stories.
Make no mistake, Mr. Naruto. I intend to snuff out the sort of public opinion we just heard, personally.
I'm starting to see where Mr. Sholmes' untainted reputation comes from now. Because he does a lot. Every can! How do you get that big can? The single apron drawing on the enormous cannon-shaped cloth sword.
No, Mr. Naruto. That's a real cannon.
I knew it. I knew that. I was just testing you. Piece of history, that is. Seen plenty of action on the battlefield, I can tell you. Now the old girl and I are just enjoying the peace and quiet of retirement together. And by old girl, I mean... and of course she'd come in handy if the enemy decide to launch an attack again. Is there a war going on that I don't know about? I think we already knew. These big shells. Ah yes, these enormous mortar shells. It's quite something seeing them up close, isn't it?
Didn't you say something about firing them into the barracks, Mr. Gheradev?
Ah, you remember, do you? Just a little mishap that occurred during training one day. What are you doing for your own men? The captain bellowed at me. I'm not surprised, a little mishap doesn't really do justice. And it is 9 o'clock. Well, one of these incidents, when so hot-headed young private. Perhaps I should put some evidence that resulted from one of my little mishaps on display.
Oh, does a great lawyer like the great detective want to exhibit some trophies of...
Seriously? How do you read his mind? How?
Okay. Is that everything I can examine? I believe that is... Alright, that's everything I can examine for now. Time to head to the prison. Le prison. Yeah. 21st February, local prison, cell 9. And he's not even in here. Why? Alright, was there anything we could have looked up? Adventure, show him sweet. What do you think back at show him sweet? 21st February, show him sweet. No. Nada. I already looked this up. There's Iris typing on the novel. Iris. That's incredible concentration, that is.
I find it quite remarkable how she can focus on so many different things at once.
Perhaps I should try drinking more herbal tea.
The blend third from the right would be good for you, you know.
Oh, Iris. Third from the right. This girl is destined for great things, I'm sure. Okay. She already knows where it is. Oh, gosh. Okay, fine. Miss Green's hospital bed. You like men? No. I enjoy women. Actually, one. Alright. Okay, so Miss Green's not here. I gotta go to another area. I don't know what other area. Mr. Shamspear's room. Is there anything I have... did examine, but couldn't look at? Oh, God. I've already looked at the portrait. I've already looked at the light. I've already looked at the makeshift stage. Is there anything I need to present to Mr. Gheradev? Okay, I haven't examined the window. As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. Oops.
A vestige of the former window tax the Britons had to pay.
What strange things they use in the tax Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they had in the property. That's extraordinary.
It's heartbreaking to think of the poor having to block up the windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax.
Oh. What is it, Mr. Sato?
If you look closely, a number of the bricks were loose.
Yeah. And there are bars of soap. Oh yes, it looks like an amateur has broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shamspear who did it, I wonder? Being lodged or entering the room?
Oh, look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it.
What? Outside? You gotta look at it outside. Brr.
It's so cold outside, you can feel it through the gap.
It did snow all last night. It would be cold, but more importantly, what is on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps?
It's small bars of soap.
Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on the ledge outside the window?
I have no idea. But the pair of them really look charming like that.
Still, it's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined outside the window. I think perhaps we should take one. There are two after all.
Oh dear. I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look up this soap.
Ah. Do you see, in the middle there? The patch that's a different color. It's sort of a transparent fly. Sort of a fancy design, I suppose. Women.
Ew.
What? Oh yeah, you're looking at it from like a heterosexual point of view.
Monogamous for life. Looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful. It's probably a very expensive brand.
Expensive? Then what's it doing in this ramshackle old room? Bar of soap. Cheap bar of soap that was discovered just outside Mr. Shamspear window. It's one of 2 that were found there. Really? Okay, now we finally did something. Looks like I'm having a good snoop around, eh? Uh-oh. Inspector Grayson, back so soon? Yep. After I threw that little Japanese fellow in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigation division. In 5 minutes' time, the place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we better be leaving then.
Poor Mr. Natsume must be feeling very low being back in the cell so soon.
Well, would it go better for you if you're... Red bowling. Right. Oh, God. I can't... What? Wait, what? Did he just get up? Did he just sit up straight? He just sat up straight. What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? He sat up straight. Gah! Oh, God. Okay, what voice should I give him? I'll just give him the most obnoxious voice. Out, out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player. Is that Macbeth? I'm gonna double check. Out, out, brief candle. Where is that from? It's from Macbeth. Why does Macbeth compare life to a brief candle? It is from frickin' Macbeth! You're looking up Macbeth again. Why are you looking up Macbeth? There's stress and frets upon his owl, upon the stage, and there's heard no more. Oh. Really? No! How saith the next part? It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Indeed! Oh, happy day! What? He just fell back on the floor. Walking Dead!
The fella isn't dead at all? Oh, God. I arrested that Japanese man for no reason. Shit! My racist instincts kicked in already.
What was that nonsense he was saying, though? He was talking about Macbeth.
I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5.
Shakespeare. Really? It was Macbeth. So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shamspear, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpires that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to a nearby hospital for treatment. And Inspector Grayson evicted us from the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. So the victim wasn't actually dead at all? 21st February, Briar Road.
Whatever do you think will happen now?
Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life.
I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shamspear did consume poison as we deduce. But it was an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder. Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody.
I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Also, there's somebody over by the window. What's this? Who is that? What's that man doing over there? It looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings.
Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo?
Excuse me, can we have a word? What the hell? Ah. What? He just ran off. You're racist? Everybody's a little racist!
I feel that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it?
I do too, but I don't remember. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again.
A good idea.
Can I pinpoint that? Why can't I pinpoint the green bar of soap on the ledge? Alright, now I can go speak to Soseki. Natsume. Is he there yet? He is there. 21st February, local prison, cell 9.
Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now?
Look, I've seen Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire! Oh, yes. What is he? Tell me! Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Sholmes.
He actually calls himself a great detective, Mr. Natsume, not a ghost.
But his diabolic deductions, they're not of this world. They've left me. Ah! Cursed! I'm cursed, I tell you.
Well, that sort of hurts.
Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You are heavily involved in the deduction, too.
Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news.
Oh?
The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again.
Now, in the absolute worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume?
It's horrible! Sugiru! What are we, Sugiru?
Oh,
I'm stuck in the cell, suffering for some silly, wrong end of the stick. You didn't you? Confess, you're the killer. Why the mustache?
Why the mustache?
Constant questions!
I'm sorry to hear that. Why would anyone ask him about his mustache in the middle of a investigation?
Oh, that's of a shyster! The shyster! Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you will come back to life, why bother dying? Wiggly, wishy, washy, William!
Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shamspear was never actually dead in the first place.
Oh, yes. That would make sense. When it plays that he's alive or close. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I decided to think it would be last.
oh,
Oops.
Mr. Natsume, what does this mean? Does it mean that you didn't see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspear, didn't you?
I'm not saying another word! I demand to have a lawyer present!
Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story.
Why am I cursed like this?
So you did see the victim. What happened? Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume?
There's nothing as hell! But, Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire, I'm so eternally grateful for your help in my pathetic case yesterday.
In case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back. He had it again. He had it again. He ate it again. At who?
hard to believe that it was only yesterday.
After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodging. And that evening at 9:30 it must have been, I visited Mr. Shamspear.
So, you did go to the victim's room then. Why?
As we feared.
I didn't do anything wrong! I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time.
Then, what made you decide to go?
I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell.
The ties in with Miss Gheradev said that the victim went out and came back after 8.
We met again after that evening, at around 9 or just after. When I took him some nice tea I brewed him as a gift.
It was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then.
And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet! Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate.
Who was stronger? What?
I'm sure.
Such a seemingly subject, Shakespeare! William Shakespeare. And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison in Mr. Shamspear's tea? No! Never! Not at all! Team Juliet won. That was me. And then I left his room. When I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit. I swear, categorically. Okay, curse existence. Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now. And in that time, I've learned that it's no place for me.
Must be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me. They all laugh! That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember. And then, 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road.
But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable.
Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money. It spoke to me.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed.
Cursed? Cursed how?
The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Ooh.
Oh no! He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one could explain why.
Surely no one wanted to live in a room with a history like that.
I did. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books! And books cost money, a horrible history, and a small price to pay. When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning.
Brave or blinkered.
But after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I've done. I realized how horrible the room's history really was!
Gosh, was it really so awful? Horrible history. How did the room's terrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened?
At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes born in my back, watching me.
Do you think that it might have been your mind playing tricks on you?
No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to the place.
A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean?
All the souls who've died in that room. I lean over me in my sleep. They're trying to strangle me!
That really is horrible.
And now I've come to think of it. It happened again last night. The very same night that Mr. Shamspear was writhing in agony from the poison in his body. I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room.
You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right. I know. And that's why. I'm already searching for the next room with the history to call home.
I think perhaps you should try to avoid calamity with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that yourself may become history.
Ooh, Soseki knows how to make the man listen. Of course. Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well.
Maybe Mr. Gheradev?
Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again.
Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place. Despite investigating it. Ah, perhaps. That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps in his tenants' movement. You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. Must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms.
What do you mean? He pays so much attention to the gas plant.
Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please forget I said anything.
Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well.
What's important is that Mr. Shamspear isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come around and he'll be able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released.
Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right.
Excuse me.
Inspector Grayson!
I couldn't help overhearing what you just said, and on that note, I have some good news and some bad news.
Oh?
Which do you want to hear first?
Yeah, always, every time the bad news comes to us. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle.
Right, well, in that case, the good news it is.
Huh?
Alright, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way.
Then why do you ask me my preference?
As you might have heard, Mr. Shamspear was unconscious. He's come around right now.
Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory.
He's still being treated by the doctor, but we managed to get a written statement from him already.
Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Nasby?
Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber slave.
Sorry, no, that's not on the card.
What?
Why ever not, Inspector?
Mr. Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night.
Implicated someone? Oh dear.
You don't mean...
I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Nashme.
No!
Why sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life? That wicked Gheradev, Soseki Nashme.
No!
No. So I'm afraid you'll be appearing quarters planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations.
And so, once again, Soseki-san found himself having to take the dock at the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in the court and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. Great.
But not so great for Natsume.
Okay, now we're actually making some progress. I don't know, is it gonna be harder? Because I've done so many cases at this point, I usually expect everything to be really hard, but... Who knows? We can try something new. 22nd February, 9:23 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber.
The Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. I seem to get chills down my spine and break out a nervous sweat all at the same time.
Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. And it's interesting how all the main characters all have a nervousness to themselves.
That's my line.
Good morning! Ah, good morning, Mr. Natsume.
Only 2 days ago I was declared not guilty here.
Yes, we somehow managed to prove he didn't stab Miss Green in the back.
But now this! Another morning! Another murder! And here I am again in this hellhole! Can't keep up! Keep coming to court!
I'm beginning to think he's right. It really does seem as though he's cursed.
Mr. Naraharu, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh! Mr. Natsume, good morning.
Yes, morning.
So, here we are again.
Yes, again.
They're just staring at each other awkwardly.
Judicial Sesame, Smiko Tobias Squires, what's the bad news?
Oh dear, you heard, didn't you?
If you come in shouting at the top of your voice, people can't help hearing what you say!
Including the bailiff officers over there who probably don't want to get in on it.
Oh, I am sorry.
You've done nothing wrong, Mr. Sato. Now what is it?
Well, it seems that the prosecution in today's trial will be led by Lord Barak von Zeeks.
Von Zeeks.
Ah! Oh no! Oh no!
The so-called Reaper of the Bailey. The most legendary prosecutor in the land. Who loves to throw wine glasses at the lamp behind him. In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki-san and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth.
managed to pull through, but still... Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter. After all... Yes, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper that says nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord Garnetzx is the prosecutor.
Oh no!
That even if the person is found not guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another.
We actually found out that's not true, but we'll leave it at that. And we've experienced it firsthand. A man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end after his acquittal, right here in the Old Bailey.
Do I have to put it up with the ice cold eyes boring out my soul again? Cursed by evil spirits, and now by the ripoff. Repair, petrifying perils, potentially.
Well, if it's potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume.
Look, I'm sitting Mr. Natahedo Esquire.
Ah, yes?
I'm innocent. You have to believe me. You more than anyone knows.
Don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise. And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear. Again.
Well, the trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move on to the courtroom.
Let's go.
Oh yes, I forgot to say. I'm afraid he won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean.
Why? That's probably for the best.
Oh?
If you were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. And that could be seen his way. If Lord Garnetzx were to notice, he'd prey on it mercilessly. At least, that's my gut feeling.
Mr. Naruhodo.
You're right. Yes, you're so right.
He holds up his hands like he's handcuffed or something.
Oh, well said. Look, I'm sitting Mr. Natahedo Esquire. Well said.
Swear on the sword at my side and on the spirit of Kazuma that it harbors, I've shown what a Japanese lawyer can do. Japanese lawyer. Oh God. I'll set you free with honor.
Oh yes.
Oh God. Oh God. 22nd February, 9:40 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. Oh.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. And now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and the defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
Vampire truth.
The prosecution is ready.
The defense is ready, my lord.
Readiness for the trial, my lord Nipponese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is readiness for your inevitable defeat.
Not just my imagination is really there. Lord Garnetzx has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason.
It was some time ago now that it first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey.
Because Garnetzx is a racist. Actually, I might as well stop here. Did I have melatonin? Ah, shit, I forgot about melatonin. Did I have melatonin? Oh, well, I'll stop it right here. In the meantime, I can't remember if I have melatonin. I'll check later on the live stream. I gotta stop here. I will see you all in the next live stream. In fact, I'll save it right now, as I usually do. Alright, I gotta get ready. I gotta sleep. I have today and tomorrow off.
And I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye-bye.